Neeraj is the second most valuable company. He runs Spinny. He founded it 7 years ago and has been building it fiercely despite all the odds. Akanksha, for a lack of a sort of better metric, is our most valued women founder company. So we're waiting for her to follow in Spinny's footsteps and be our first unicorn built by a woman founder in our portfolio. So Akanksha, good luck on that. And so I think I wanted to sort of use Neeraj's story to sort of inspire everybody in this audience. And Neeraj, using this first cue from me, why don't you also give a little bit of background and on Spinny and your journey? So I think every year we have star entrepreneurs here on stage, and it's never boring to figure out what actually goes on in an entrepreneur's mind. Because I think every story is unique, everyone is different, right? And I'm always intrigued by what was that point in your life and your life history where a clock goes off and say, I want to be an entrepreneur and not a job seeker, right? And I'd love to have both of you sort of relate your personal stories on that front.
So before coming to your question, so Spinny is a full-stack used car retailing platform in India. And at Spinny, we are trying to create an alternative for the customers where they can buy even second-hand cars with same confidence with which they would have purchased a new car. That is the kind of solution we are trying to create for them. So coming back to Karthik's original question, right, what goes behind in an entrepreneur's mind. So I think we always try to understand that what is the purpose of life, and getting an answer for that is not easy, right? So many philosophers have talked a lot about that. And of course, that is a very difficult question, right? But for me, entrepreneurship is a way of life, is a mindset, because we always want to keep pushing the limits. We always want to be on a certain kind of learning journey. We want to bring certain positive changes in people's lives. We want to build things which inspires people to do good, to do more. And entrepreneurship is one of the proven and one of the best ways to basically live your life that way. So for me, it is a mindset. It is a way of life. And Spinny is my third startup. So immediately after the college, I started my first company in 2007, operated that for 4 years. Then after that, started my second company, again operated that for 4 years. And in Spinny, this is already 7th year. And I intend to keep building it for rest of my life.
Super. This is your rest of life story here on this one company.
Yes.
Akanksha.
Coming to the LoveLocal journey, so just a quick snapshot, LoveLocal is very simply your trusted local shops online. What we're doing is digitizing India's local retailers so that we can transform how all of us shop in our neighborhoods with our kiranas, chemists, etc. And on the retailer side, giving retailers an entire digital stack to be able to sell online and over time transform their entire business. I think, I didn't realize why I built this business until I started to introspect on the journey that I've had personally. So just a little bit of context. I was born in Pune. I grew up in Pune and Hong Kong. My parents actually started with 44 rupees. I've been very lucky, my family's been very lucky in terms of where we started and the opportunities we've had. But my first home was in a basti in Pune. And my mom went to university for the first time when she was 35 because she'd never had the opportunity and we could afford it. And she went to university, she worked 2 jobs, she raised 2 kids and had no help. And that's kind of the context that I grew up in. And I'm very fortunate that the hard work that my family put in, that I had to put in, led to the outcomes that we had. So I was able to go to university like Princeton, which honestly I don't think any of us had even context for that university when we were really young. And I've been working since I was very, very young. I was very lucky to become an athlete when I was young because in Hong Kong they have a great government sports program. And I realized that context has really shaped why I became an entrepreneur retrospectively. because I have a very unique opportunity to have seen a journey that is not that common, right? To start there and to get to go to university, and the type of university I went to, and then to have the opportunities that I had, given where we started and the struggles we had at the beginning, is very uncommon. And to be honest, the things that resonated with me is like, the world is not very fair. Like, I don't know why we had the luck that we had. Like, why did our hard work give us results and opportunity when there's millions, if not billions, of people out there working really hard, and they don't get the same outcomes and they don't get the same results. And so I think somewhere in my back of my mind, I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. I'm motivated by creating a more equal world. There should be a more level playing field. And these are the problems that I want to solve, because I would like to live in a world and live in a future or present that whoever works hard, no matter where you start, you should have the opportunity to be successful, and you should have the opportunity to win. And now looking at LoveLocal, that's exactly what we do for local retailers, right? And I think initially one would ask, why would someone like me be interested in digitizing local retail? But the seed of that is really that technology has come about, and there's a real chance it can leave a lot of people behind unless we work as founders to enable and make technology accessible to every single person in society. And so I think that's, at least retrospectively, realizing how my background has played into wanting to build things and specifically solve this problem or these types of problems.
I think you answered my second question. I wanted to also see your motivation for why LoveLocal, why the idea. So Neeraj, why Spinny? How did that spark come? It's easy for a lot of the audience to brand you as you took an opportunity that was available, but I think there's always a personal story. So whenever we meet founders, we try to dig out that personal story. And it means a lot, because that's what keeps you going for a very, very long time. Otherwise, it's very easy to get deflated on that journey.
Right. So very similar to Akanksha's story. So come from a very small town in Jharkhand, a town called Daltonganj. Born, brought up there, studied there till class 10th in a Hindi medium school. Went to Ranchi for my +1, +2. From there only I prepared for IIT entrance. Then joined IIT Delhi in 2003. Then after the college, started the first company immediately after the college, right? Because I was very clear that, entrepreneurship is the thing I want to do, right? So because in entrepreneurship, there is no ceiling, right? Ceiling is defined by you. And it was very clear that I wanted to do, things at large, with large reach, large impact, right? Basically, the kind of things I talked about, on Karthik's first question. So coming from that kind of background, right, then doing the first startup for 4 years, and that was into education. I used to meet lots of parents on daily basis from all kinds of backgrounds. Then doing the second startup in web media, right? And then after moving on from my second startup, took a small break to figure out that what I want to do for long term, right? Because I can't keep doing flip-flops again and again. And I was very clear that this time also I want to do something of my own only, right? So I was not giving up on entrepreneurship, but I wanted to be sure that whatever I do next, that should be from a long-term perspective. And I was trying to figure that what that thing is, right? And I was clear that I want to start in any kind of haste. So in that free time, I also started doing angel investments very actively. So during those 9-10 months, I did 14 angel investments. I thought that rather than investing in real estate or going for paid MBA, it's better to invest in startups. Even if I'm not able to recover or multiply my money, I'll get a lot of learning, and I'll also be able to check my decision making. So that was the intent of doing those angel investments. And wherever I invested, my angel check was the first angel check in the company, not pulling in with anybody else, not following anybody else, right? Just doing the first check in the company. And out of those 14 companies, just one company could not raise any follow-up capital, right? 13 raised, remaining 13 raised follow-up institutional VC rounds. Few of those are doing really good these days. So if you look at my whole, journey, so because of my experiences, right, since my childhood, I was very much able to see the entire spectrum of the Indian society. And I was able to relate that buying your first car is a very different kind of purchase, very special, very emotional purchase. It is a certain kind of unlock, for you. One of key events in your life, right? One of 3, 4 key events. So those key events are like buying your first car, when you move up a bit in your career ladder, then buy a better car, you get married, you buy a house. So these are 3, 4 key events in a typical, life journey. And when you're buying your first car, that is the first event of, that kind. So for me, it was very clear that this is a very special, very emotional, very aspirational purchase, but at the same time, completely broken. So for us, Spinny is not just about used cars. It is more about solving for that special purchase, solving for trust and experience, building a brand which can become synonym of trust and experience in the society, building a benchmark which starts inspiring more and more people to do something like that, so that you are also bringing down the mistrust level in the society. And at the same time, if you are able to build a brand like that, then under the same brand umbrella, you can do anything you want, right? At right stage, at right time, any kind of horizontal integration, vertical integration. So for us, Spinny is not just about cars. It is about solving for trust and experience. It is about building a brand which can become synonym of trust and experience in the society. And we know that to build a play like that, you can't build it just because of your business model or product or tech. You need certain kind of value system. You need certain kind of culture. Those things will be the real foundation. And then the product and tech and the business model will be the next level pillars. So that was
it shows in, some promotion for Spinny. So that experience that he's talking about, my first luxury car purchase ever in life was a Spinny car last year. And
we delivered that car from Delhi.
Yeah, it came all the way from Noida to Bombay, because you've kind of fall in love with the idea of owning a certain car, a certain color. It's an emotional purchase, and it was the first interstate, sale that...
First interstate shipping for us.
Yeah, that Spinny had ever done. So obviously, I'm a fan of all my companies. So we have a shortage of time, so I want to get shorter, nippier answers on a couple of things. I feel like a lot of the challenges that come in building to scale. So ideas work from 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3, 0 to 10, if that's an outcome of a long-lasting public company or a billion-dollar company or whatever it is all around scale. So I feel product, people, and you spoke a lot about products, so I won't come to product. People and Pesa are all required to meet that ambition, right? Very, very quickly. So can you speak of your experiences on maybe money? Akanksha, you have a very unique cap table. There's hardly anyone from India, right? And Neeraj, I would love for you to speak a little bit about people challenges. At early stages, how do you motivate people to see this kind of a vision and come committed for a very long term? And I think you've built an outstanding team. So that one question each, if you don't mind, and then we'll wrap.
So yeah, we have an interesting cap table. A lot of our investors are first-time India investors, including our latest round. So for better or worse, the latest round that we did, the pre-Series B, was the largest ever round done by a solo woman founder in India. And that's a sad milestone, but at least it's a milestone at this point, and we can do better going forward. But if you see on the cap table, I think it was primarily Indian investors. Honestly, I think it's a result of having to be very scrappy and being very used to, honestly, throughout my life, people telling me I can't do things, I shouldn't be where I am, so that doesn't really bother me. And when I moved to Bombay to start LoveLocal, I had never lived in Bombay. I don't have any family here. I had one pair of friends here that I had from my squash days. And I literally showed up in the city with like a PowerPoint presentation and like, okay, I'm gonna start a business. And what I've learned in life is just talk to people and knock on as many doors as possible. And that led me to Blume through honestly a very random sequence of introductions and events that I met Sajid, then Sajid brought me to Blume. And yeah, a lot of, unfortunately, because the system is what it is, in terms of like, let's look at the data. Less than 1% of VC funding in India goes to women-founded companies. Less than 2.3% of global funding goes to women-led companies in the world. And you think that number is going up. Actually, it went down. In 2019, it was 2.8%. In 2022, it is 2.1%. And a lot of it is earlier stage, the further out you go, unfortunately, there are fewer and fewer women that you'll find there. So the reality is you have to hustle. And I would love to keep my head down and pretend it doesn't exist, but I don't think that's the smart thing to do. And I'm a ex-sportsman, so I describe it as like you can't be in a match and pretend the opponent doesn't exist and then expect to win, right? The opponent is there. So study the opponent, analyze the opponent, adapt, and overcome the challenge. And that's basically, I think, the result of why my cap table looks like what it is, because I've knocked on as many doors as possible, and I have found phenomenal allies in men, in VCs here. But there are a lot of doors that have been harder to open, especially as a solo founder. And so I've knocked on doors across the world. And I've found people who want to ally and believe in what we do and champion what we do. And I will continue to do that. And I think things will get better globally here over time. But yeah, you just have to hustle and keep knocking.
It's an incredible story of hustle. If you look at a cap table, you'll have to see it to believe it. But last question, Neeraj, on people. How do you inspire folks to come in that early? I mean, and I think your 13 angel investments kind of gave you a sense of that kind of people that you back. I got a hint from there, but maybe we part with that. Because without that, there's no great startup, is my take.
So basically, most important realization for us was that, at the end of the day, everything is all about people. If you're building a startup, if you're building a product, if you're building a service, it is all about people, right? Customers are people. So there are all kind of people out there, right? So it's more about the right mapping, the right clubbing. And you need to be very authentic, very proactive about sharing the right vision, sharing the right reason why you are doing this, right? Why it needs to be done, for whom it is being done, right? How it will be done, right? So if you are, if you are that forthcoming, right? And if you are very transparent, and if you are genuinely authentic, then it becomes really easy to find like-minded people. And at the same time, you should be fine with the differences, right? And you should look for people who bring complementary skills to the table, right? And so if you are building your team with that kind of mindset, right? And if that authenticity is consistently visible throughout the engagement, and that is getting validated by certain kind of triangulation by any new potential member, right? You can't manipulate it, right? So people can see through it. Everybody is smart enough. So if you are authentic enough, then you will be able to find people who resonate with your cause, with that purpose. You can't be the only one who is moved by that particular cause, right? It's all about finding the right, matches.
Yeah. The one thing I've learned from the best founders who build teams, and I keep advocating to the younger founders, is that if you're building people who are not married to the mission in the first 3-4 years, you might as well not hire them. I mean, you can hire bodies and just put them to work and make them write code or do, like dumb digital marketing activity, but it's not ever going to be the same. Neeraj is one of those folks who surprises me, right? Because you write anything on Twitter or LinkedIn or any place, he's the one who's monitoring it. He's so sensitive to brand. And I think we share that about us, Neeraj. So we are razor focused on everything that is around brand. And that's why I think we are who we are after 11 years. Right. And I see that every day in your brand as well. Thanks a lot.